When I think about what is an artist, the two things that come to mind are being willing to try things that either haven't been tried or you haven't tried before, and some level of bringing something into being that wasn't there before. I think I have a conviction that in some way all of us have an artist or creative in us. We're all made, at least with the capacity and maybe with the intention to be creators. My name is Isaac Harrell and I am a baker. The main prep is making sure I've got everything that I'm gonna need, especially on a big bake day, making sure I've got all the flour I can think of, all the butter I need for the pastries or the cookies, and just trying to have everything in a place so that when it's bake day, I'm ready to get in and go and don't have to think about those things. The routine as far as when it's time to bake is trying to start the morning with a little bit of peace. Although this is about to be really hectic for the next 8 hours, there's a reason that I'm doing it. Just sort of tap into that sense of calm and really enjoyment for the process. When it comes to larger bakes, I think the challenge is being able to stay present and really enjoy the process, because it can be pretty hectic. And I got into baking because I like the slowness of it and because I enjoy the creative practice. And so trying to lean into that even through the busy and sort of fast pace can be a challenge. As far as the dough goes, it starts with a mix, and then I'm doing strength building folds so that it gets the right gluten development so that it can rise properly. More strength building folds and just waiting so that it can become the right consistency that it needs to be to go in the oven. It's interesting because there's these pauses in the different elements of the process. So I mix the dough for the focaccia and then it just has to wait. But then I'm, mixing the cookie dough, and then that has to wait. And then I'm mixing the next round of focaccia. So it's sort of an interesting, slow and fast at the same time. Then when it's time to go in the oven, I top the focaccia with flaky salt, thyme, rosemary, oregano, and just generously cover everything. A lot of olive oil, and then you stick it in the oven and watch it rise and become something really beautiful. One of the things that's really exciting about baking is that it is at the same time really precise and very responsive. So I can't just decide how much flour or water I want to put in or how much salt is going to go in the dough. Like, that has to be planned ahead of time, but I'm actually watching the dough respond to the environment around it. What's the temperature? How humid is it? How warm was the water that I mixed in? How is that impacting how the yeast is responding? And I have to change what I'm doing based on how the dough is responding to the environment. And so I think in that way, it's a really creative process, because both you're taking raw materials and creating something that's sort of more than the sum of its parts. And then it's also sort of musical in the way that you get to know what you're working with. It's very personal. That's sort of the excitement, but I think that can be a challenge. I can sometimes worry myself about maybe I didn't let it sit as long as I should have, and it's not going to go right. I think that process of waiting and working and feeling good about what you're doing, but still having these sense of you don't really know what you've got until you pull it out of the oven. I might be starting the process of baking a loaf of bread like 3 days before I get the final product. It can be that, and that would be normal. What you spend the most time doing when you're baking bread is waiting. That's the majority of your job, is to wait for it to become what it's supposed to be. It has helped me to slow down and listen and wait, and be more comfortable with the process of becoming that is just like sitting there and ruminating. I think I see the creative process as little opportunities to create on earth as in heaven, if you will. I think that when we see what we're making as what could be just a little touch of Eden, then it inherently is worth doing. We are a part of something beautiful, and we get to make something beautiful, or we make something and it goes terribly and we learn from it. I think that we're creating those little pockets of on earth as in heaven, to get to share that with people you live next door to, or the community at large, or just your family, or just yourself. If someone is willing to take a chance and try to bring something into the present moment that wasn't there before, then that's the artist in them.